It's been 3 minutes past the scheduled start time. I think it's good to get started right now. Good evening, everyone, and thank you all for joining us today. And welcome to this session, Certification in Healthcare Informatics. All that we're going to talk about is how to create career leverage for job applications. Okay, what is the actual professional growth that we are looking at, and the career transition. Okay, many of us are already in the healthcare domain, so this discussion that we're going to have is also help them in career transition, because healthcare is now expanding so much. Okay, and with the transition of AI seeping into the domain, okay, many of us would definitely look into career transitions. For who are these really important? Okay, so we would focus on clinicians, healthcare, IT professionals, data and analytics experts, if you for all the digital health practitioners, and for individuals who are exploring or advancing career in the healthcare informatics field. Before we begin, I would like to set a tone for this today's session. Okay, this topic is a very sensitive topic and very important topic, that is certification in healthcare informatics. It's not new. In fact, it's a long overdue conversation. It's been discussed and debated for many years, and yet, despite this, clarity has been lacking somewhere. Okay, that's my opinion. Opinions vary. Okay, but I do feel there is some kind of guidance which should have been there is quite inconsistent, and many professionals remain uncertain of how the certifications truly fit into their career journey. So today's session is specifically created to address that gap. Let me be very clear about what it is and what it is not. This webinar is not a marketing forum for sure, for any kind of certification or institution or for a training provider. Okay, and it's not intended to prescribe a single correct pathway, and it's not meant to create any kind of bias or hierarchy or any kind of division between certified and non-certified professionals. That is not our intention at all. Instead, our purpose today is very simple. We aim to share the best options currently available. We will reflect on personal professional experience. Okay, that's the reason we're going to make it a little more interactive. This being the beginner's guide, the future sessions, you will begin to witness this particular interaction. We will draw insights from collective cohort discussions, and we hope to help one another just to make sure we make informed, practical, and respectful decisions. Our guiding principle is this: we are here to express, share, and to help each other. And we invite and request our listeners to do the same. Healthcare informatics sits at a complex and at a very evolving intersection right now. It's between clinical care, information technology, data, operations, governance, and strategy. So it's a very important juncture where this particular role is created. Okay, so today we're going to talk about just healthcare informatics, but later in the session we will run through different other roles which are evolving, and there is a surprise, not a surprise, big surprise, but a very good new kind of a role that I did come across. And we will go through one of the job postings, live job postings on LinkedIn, and then we will try to correlate as to how the certification skill sets, what they're demanding versus what is available or what we have, how do we match that gap, and how do we better understand the job description. And adding to that, electronic health records have matured. Okay, now digital health solutions have multiplied. Now, with the advent of AI, there is a sporadic evolution of these solutions. Data and analytics have become, it's like the core now. Okay, it's a core to make any kind of decision, because now many people are relying on informed decisions. Now, with AI, interoperability has increased. Now, if you see, there are a lot of job postings that are talking about interoperability. Then it talks about integration. Then IA, that is your architect role. Okay, now these are now seeping and gaining a lot of traction. If you see the job postings in the recent time, that is what is happening. Cybersecurity, yes, definitely. The intentions have been intensified. Okay, regulators and quality, now they have also stepped up, and the standards are going to rise. AI governance is going to come into place. Cybersecurity is going to be upskilled or upgraded, because of so much of interoperability and integration that is going to happen. AI layering, overlaying is happening over the EHRs. Okay, some of them are integrated. We'll touch base as we go forward. Okay, I don't want to overwhelm you with too much of information in the first 10 minutes. Okay, particularly there's another good thing that we have seen is certification has always evolved at the same pace. Okay, so this is not a new thing that we're talking about. At very important transitions, this is a topic that it's good to touch base upon and give a look into if you're looking for any kind of a professional growth or a career transition. Certifications appear in job descriptions. Okay, most of the times we see it's without sufficient context. Okay, because these roles that you see being advertised are not a standalone roles. Okay, no, they are hybrid roles, a particular role that covers multiple facets of the healthcare informatics or the healthcare domain. Okay, so that's the reason the JD, if you see the job description from one company to another company, there is a variance. You will find that there is overlap of certain kind of skills. The roles and responsibilities are different. That is because each business has got a way to look at forming a team, to pool in resources, the skill set for the resources. Okay, all these are different from company to company. Okay, but what I have seen is some of the candidates do pursue certification without a clear objective. They just think that certifications, the moment they have a certification, they are eligible for one particular job. Okay, they get auto certified for a particular job. No, that is not true altogether. Okay, now on the contrary, I do see people totally avoid them altogether. Okay, because of the confusion, the cost, or because of the mixed messages that they are receiving. So that's the reason this session exists, because the workforce, that is us, deserve a better guidance. Okay, we hold our hands together and we step forward. Okay, that is just a guidance that is grounded in experience, that is with observation and with shared learning. So now it is very important for us to set the context and purpose. That's what we have done all this while. Okay, so I've told you what is the context and what is the purpose. Okay, the certifications in healthcare informatics, you have a structured learning path. Okay, it's good if there is a structured learning path. It's a formal validation of knowledge. Actually, certification helps the recruiter or the organization know that this person has been formally validated for a particular knowledge. There's a body, there is an agenda which was followed, and there is a level of testing, okay, with which this person is now eligible or quoted as a knowledgeable person. Okay, It's a professional signaling mechanism. Okay, that is what the certification should be looked at. But they are not a replacement for experience. No, just because you have a certification doesn't mean that you're an experienced candidate and more worthy to get a particular job role. No, they are not a guarantee of promotion or employment. Some of us have that concept, or it's a mixed message that, as I was telling you, that saying that if you are qualified for PMP, you should be the next project manager. No, that doesn't happen like that, and that is not the ground reality. Okay, it's and certification is not a measure of intelligence or professional worth. As I told you, it's a form of validation of knowledge, but does not replace any of these. It should be understood. Okay, the certification is well understood. Okay, when they are used. Okay, and how the certifications are applied. There should be a real goal application and a real world application too. Okay, only then certifications can be powerful. When it's pursued without clarity, they just become an expensive distraction. Okay, so it could be like you have 10 certifications, but still you're not happy, you've not landed the right job, or even at the current job, the certifications are not giving you any upper hand. That is because there was no clarity in the certifications that you perceived. That's not wrong. There are certain times that we do make such decisions. So it's good. Earlier the better we realize this and we start positioning ourselves, okay, into a better position for the next set of certifications. Okay. Now what we are looking at is what is the outcome of certifications. Now outcomes might be, okay, you being shortlisted for interviews. Yes, that's what we're looking at. More securing a more meaningful role. Yes, progressing in your career. Yes, and also enabling lateral or cross domain movement within your organization. That is also possible. It helps you strengthen or helps you negotiate your position better. And when you're interacting with stakeholders, it gives you better credibility. And certifications can leverage you on create all these four key areas that I've spoken about. So certifications, as I told you, okay, is important. So I do have a quick poll coming up your way. Okay, so do let me know. What do you think about this question? Does the current topic have any relevance to your profile and the working domain? You can just quickly take about 15 to 20 seconds to quickly mark this answer. All right, so that should be good enough. Okay, so we will stop the poll now and we'll resume with the next part of our presentation. The first thing I've noticed is, okay, in job applications, especially in competitive market, the hiring teams must screen the candidates quickly. Okay, that's where certification gives your resume that kind of visibility. They can signal baseline domain competence. That means it clearly says now this person is competent in this particular domain, and shortlisting becomes a little more efficient. Okay, rarely certification alone becomes a decision factor. Rarely. Okay, otherwise it is just helps in the initial screening. Okay, but when this certifications with your experience, okay, they give you a different credible weightage. That's where the certifications do play a role. Okay, now you are in the role of a project manager. You're being doing project management in your organization, but you don't have a PMP. But by doing the PMP, okay, it gives you a lot more weightage. Your resume looks a lot more efficient because your experience as well as certification gives you that weightage. Okay. Now, second thing is the professional identity. If you talk about the healthcare informatics role, okay, they are often very broad or loosely defined, as I told you in some of the job descriptions we will see. Now, certifications can help you clarify your professional identity, like clinical informatics or data and analytics, interoperability and integration, like your IA, your architect roles, digital health leadership, governance and compliance. Okay, now this is what helps the individual as well as the organization. So both of them do get clarity. The organization also knows I need a candidate with this kind of experience and this kind of certification. So when you're applying, if you have that relevant certification and experience, you become the top job applicant. Okay, so that's where your certifications do help and secure you a better position, okay, for shortlisting, and the rest all depends in your interview. Okay, now talking about internal career growth within organizations, okay, advancement is definitely dependent on trust, your readiness, and your capability. Now, what certification does is it gives you that leverage, okay, where you can demonstrate your commitment to learning. So you're telling the upper management that with the certifications, you are a person, okay, who is always looking at upskilling, okay, and you can align the skills, and these skills are being aligned along with the organizational priorities, which is very very strong when it comes onto your internal resume. Okay, your managers will look at you at with a different perspective when you align yourself with the organizational strategy or priorities. Okay, that is really really strong. Okay, and they can support decisions about expanded responsibilities. That's what you'll be able to do. Okay, but it does not replace your performance. It definitely strengthens your narrative for a career progression, but your essential features will not be tampered with this certification. You definitely are what you are, but these certification give you that boost. And the last one, which I would talk about, is your career transition. Okay. Now, for a person who's entering healthcare or already as in healthcare, okay, certification often acts as a bridge. It is definitely a bridge where you're moving from one lateral to another lateral within the domain, or from one domain to another domain that is into healthcare. This is definitely a bridge. Certification brings you that kind of connectivity. Okay, they provide you a very important thing, and when it is when I talk about domain, especially healthcare, they give you that healthcare context. Okay, and they establish that shared professional language, so the people in the domain do know that this person has been qualified because of this certification and experience, and that professional language is well understood between you and your colleagues. Okay, and intentional. Okay, it's very very intentional that you have a career commitment when you do these kind of upskillings and certifications. Okay, when you have this with an applied learning, it's a boost, as simple as that. It's a boost, and that's where your transition outcomes are seen. In today's session, one of the most important message is certification should never become the instrument of exclusion. You cannot do that. Okay, some of the strongest leaders have very few or no certifications. We have seen them. Okay, but some early professionals use certifications to build confidence and foundation. That is good. So both the paths are valid. So do you see the irony in how the certifications do play an important role and how certifications have a minimal impact? So both are valid pathways. So that's the reason I'm telling you this session is not a single magical golden pathway, but we're going to look into all the aspects or the facets of what the certification offers or doesn't offer. Instead, it promotes inclusion and also provides collaboration. Not just collaboration, it is collaboration over comparison. Okay. So, what we're going to do is we are going to look now a little deeper how well certification is going to work. So, let's try to understand what the certification is all about. Okay. Certifications work best when it is aligned with a very clear goal. Next 5 years, that's a standard question that we get asked at every interview. All of us are very familiar with where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? That is where I would evaluate whether you have a clear goal set, okay, and how stringent is the planning of your goal. The goals can vary, but at this point of time, what is the goal that you have set? How well have you formulated this goal? What are the parameters that you have aligned your skill sets with for this goal? What is your next takeaway plan for this goal? So that tells you the person and yourself, it defines you as a person with a lot of character, with a lot of personality. Okay, and it's a good thing. Okay, over certifications is really not good, okay, because it's done without a purpose and finally it leads to frustration. So when I was doing my PMP and PMI, ACP and CSM, a friend of mine said, it looks like you are really obsessed with certifications. I don't think it's a healthy thing that you're doing. I mean, I didn't shrug him off. It was a good point that he had bought in. But this is the point where I had thought over several years, okay, before I could get started. Did I have a clear goal? Oh, yes, I did have a clear goal, a clear cut strategy before doing these project oriented goals, and there was a purpose tied with these goals. So then, after doing 3 and 4 certifications in the same vertical, I was not overwhelmed, I was not frustrated, because I felt even more I had the urge to do more certifications in the same streamline, because that is the orientation that I took, because that is the goal that was set for me, because that is the pathway which I determined will be the best that would work for me. So initially, before I could start my PMP, when people asked me to do PMP, I was very reluctant, because I really had no mindset, and I didn't do it because I didn't want to do it because people were asking me to do it. So that is where it is important. You take your time, you decide what you want, okay, and then you start pursuing it. Okay. Certification definitely provides more confidence during interview, okay, and helps in community learning. That's where you have your open forum discussions, you rebattle over a new process that you've come in, or new trends that have come in, where you discuss the pros and cons and share your best experiences. So it's a community learning that happens, and this is where your real knowledge lies in, okay, and it helps in completion and retention. Don't ask about this. This is a very big topic when you talk about completion and retention. As far as I would say, credentials do matter, but it is when context is in place. Now, you want to create real leverage, certification must be translated into impact. Okay, that means pairing learning with proof of work. That means your skill sets, your experience, and your certifications should all be in a single strands. Otherwise, it will not look good. There is a gap. Okay, you have done a particular certification, but you don't have experience in that, and your skill sets don't portray what your roles and responsibilities are or where. So that is a gap that I would, or the recruiters don't see, the managers would not appreciate. Okay, it's always good when you align certification language with job requirements. That means it's not only the tweaking of your resume. It is really important that your skill sets And when you portray yourself in the interview, it should reflect. Now, how it happens in the interview is you really will be questioned, and the way, a simple question, but the way you demonstrate, okay, your answer, that is your learning, okay, how you've implied the learnings that you've had with the certifications behind your name, okay. For example, I did the certifications in quality. Now, how did you improve the workflows? How was the data quality before you stepped in, and what happened after that? So was there a change in the reporting? Did you bring in any kind of governance that was missing or was required, or there was a tweak to the governance that was existing? Or in simple terms, what were the outcomes? So if you start giving these kind of perspectives to a question in an interview, that gives you a stronger narrative. Okay, so it clearly tells the interviewer, the hiring manager, saying that this is what I have learned, and this is how I would portray my skill sets. This is how I have broadened my experience, okay, into my learning, or my learning into my experience. It's vice versa. It's a two-way lane. Okay, so that is where your answers in the interview will always reflect you, and that is quickly gauged. Experienced recruiter and a hiring manager will definitely gauge that. So, what we do as we progress in our career is we need to maintain that perspective and that balance. What am I doing? How am I upskilling myself for this job? Okay, and how am I going to bring in value for this job with the learnings that I have or I am planning to have? So, that is where your balance should lie. Okay, now bear this in mind. You're trying to pursue a certification, or you have certification. It should help you in bringing in confidence. It should help you in continuous learning, okay, but never create any kind of fear. It should not be done because of pressure or because of any unhealthy competition, because somebody else is doing in the team, you do it. No, it's not because of that. Because of fear of losing a job, no, you don't do certifications. Because someone is asking you, it's a peer pressure, no, you don't do it. Okay, so what happens is a true professional growth, especially in informatics. What I have seen is, with my experience, limited experience, I should say, is it depends mainly on ethics. You need to have real strong ethics when it comes to policies, procedures, okay, and when it comes to regulations. Okay, you need to have very good ethics. You need to be a very good collaborator, okay, and you need to be a strong believer in lifelong learning, okay, and evaluate and understand what is the real world impact. Okay, that is the real important thing, because in healthcare you're dealing with life. Okay, you're dealing with situations that is irreparable or irreversible. It's like growth. Okay, so once you grow, you can't again stem back. No, you would not. Same thing in the healthcare domain, you do certain changes that may cause an impact, okay, which can never be repaired, or can is not reversible. So be very, very careful when it comes to healthcare, because every decision has got some kind of an impact. Okay, let's return to where we all began. Okay, this conversation exists because many of us have asked the same question for years. Okay, so today we did not define a single solution. Instead, okay, we shared experience, and these were experience-based insights. Okay, to ensure that we provide support, a thoughtful support, and it should yield in respectful decisions. So that is where certifications can leverage when it's chosen with a purpose, and it's meant to translate for a positive impact. That's the reason I say you are going to certify yourself. Okay, so ensure that certification that you have, okay, is going to create an impact. You're a person who loves a little bit of process and little bit of procedure, so make sure you learn about ITIL. Okay, it talks about a lot of processes and procedures, and you are looking into, you are a very stringent person, you like clean things in the way you work, and you like to see everything the spick and span when it comes to policies, procedures, the quality of care that is provided. Yes, quality training is good. So that is where in this today's session, I'm going to focus mainly on the purpose, the very base definition of why a certification is required. You need to have clarity on your professional direction. That is the most important thing that I always see. So, quickly, let's jump into, and I do see, yes, Hiba has also joined us. Thank you, Hiba, for your shout out. Let's quickly jump into another question. Okay, so do you sense only AI certifications could help you land jobs, or is it just a hype? Okay, this is just an intentional question that I wanted to showcase because a lot of AI boom that is happening, and we are in the initial bubble of the AI spree. So, just thought of asking this question. So, today we're not going to talk about AI. I just thought we just show this question and see what the general public would think about. Okay, 10 seconds, and then we would again resume back to our slides, and we'll quickly go through because I have to. We have quite a lot to cover. In last 10-15 minutes, we'll keep it open for questions. Indefinitely, if you have any questions, you can also post it in the chat so that I can pick up the questions as an icebreaker. Okay, so now resuming back to our slide. So internal career growth, we talk about it. We spoke about it in length. We said how your promotion or your role expansion. You could do multiple roles. Okay, you jump from one vertical to another. You can upskill yourself. You can be a cross-domain expert. So definitely, it helps you. And career transition enablement, yes, we have spoken about this. Okay, I hope the all the topics that we have spoken about is quite clear. Okay, so certification should ideally lead you actually, from learning point to the point of impact. Okay, in healthcare, I would emphasize, as I just told you a few minutes back. Okay, it is all about, okay, an impact. Sometimes the impact is irreversible. Let me quickly take a question. I do see there's a question posted by Simi. Thank you. Yes, AI certifications can help us to stay updated with the new technologies. I believe, yes, I do see that. Definitely, Simi, I do understand, and I do agree with your point that AI certifications is important, and it definitely helps us to stay updated with the new technologies. Thank you, Simi, for your input. Okay, now we will move on to quite an interesting thing that I just will quickly put through. Okay, so I did ask AI. Okay, so this is definitely from the AI output. I will let you know. So there's no surprise. I really wanted to see what the AI does when you ask the question. Okay, so I said, give me a detailed and structured list of widely recognized and currently available courses and program. I'll share this document with all of you. Okay, so it just went ahead and put in a kind of a list. It spoke about healthcare informatics, okay, which is the core and professional courses. Now, within the informatics, it says there are certain courses that is given by John Hopkins, and there is one again by John Hopkins for data science and informatics. Okay, and there is one from University of California for data quality and governance. Okay, there's a professional and graduate level informatics certificate. Okay, from MIT it is there, and then from one from Temple University. So these are all the recommendations that I received from one of the AI prompters. Okay, so this is again, as I told you in the beginning, it's not sponsored and it's not to promote any of them. It is just to give you an oversight as to what are the trending graduate courses that you have, just in case you want to make a decision. Okay, these could be helpful. Now, one I have come across is, okay, if you see, okay, I have come across interoperability and data standards, okay, health data standards. Now, I've seen this come up quite frequently. I mean, the job postings for this quite frequently, okay, and there is an evolution of FHIR. Now, HL7 was not was it is still there, but it's being almost outdated. Okay, so FHIR, okay, is the one which is now new in trend. It's taking over the HL7. It's like HL7 has become a legacy now. Okay, so if you're looking into any kind of integration kind of activities and want to upskill yourself in integration and stuff, yes, you can look into FHIR. That is, these are some of the courses. Okay, master's degree. If you really want to go ahead for master's degree, there are some good courses, online courses. One from the University of Illinois, Chicago. Then from USF, you have informatics, masters in informatics, and you have one from George Mason University. Go through them. It's just a list, and I'm sure there would be a lot more. Okay, but an interesting thing I did see is healthcare AI and advanced analytic courses. Okay, so there are already courses in healthcare AI that has come. So there are some core AI courses. Okay, you can look into it. John Hopkins University, there is one. Then Stanford University, you have another one, which is specific to AI, because many people are looking at AI. But if you are more into core AI, you can go for this deep learning AI, okay, which is more technical and more on the statistical point of learning. Machine learning, you can look into it. Then data science for AI in healthcare. Okay, these are some of the interesting courses. See, as I told you, the first 30-35 minutes I spent today was to just to give you the importance of picking up a course, why you need to pick it up, how you need to pick it up, how you need to steam up yourself. Okay, so that is important for us to have a focus, and then all these would be the different courses which you can start pursuing, and make sure you definitely progress. But if you are a person who looks at clinical and executive kind of roles in the future, look into some of these. Yeah, in clinical medicine you have, then implementing healthcare in AI by Harvard University. Then you have generative AI by Google Cloud. That's quite an interesting thing that I did see, and something that caught my interest. So I would be definitely in those lines. Now, I did ask AI to give me a suggested learning path. Okay, but this is something that you should also have. Okay, you should have something when you sort your career plan, when you sort your career pathway. You should have some kind of learning. So you will say, I have something within the next 6 months. I will do a short course. Okay, now within the next 1 year or 1.5 years, I will do a medium course. Okay, maybe a certification course, and in the long term, maybe in the next 2 to 3 years, I'm going to come up with a master's degree. There should be some kind of a plan like that. Okay, so that is what this whole document is all about. Okay, just to let you know that how the different courses are available. Okay, and what you could do with these different courses. Okay, and it all depends on what you have decided. Okay, so next interesting, again, another interesting question that I had for AI, and this is what I would. What looks good in a healthcare informatics role? Okay, so they said AI gave me some suggestions. They said clinical domain and workflows. This is your orientation. Looks very relevant. Okay, and I do go ahead with this. It says look at clinical domain and workflows. Maybe you're just a functional person, or you're more of the EHR and application, that is the application operations person. Maybe you can align yourself, or a combination of the first and the second, or you're a little more technical, You can pursue interoperability and the standards that you are setting up. Okay, so you can look into that. Some people are more onto data and analytics. Yes, you're still in the healthcare domain, healthcare informatics. This is a very broad or the most prolific vertical right now because of the advent of AI. Okay, and the proliferation of AI into different solutions in different solutions, not only as a functional, but at the very, very strategic decision point. So data is become very, very important. If you're a person who is oriented towards data and analytics, you should look into some of these courses and align your skill sets for it. Some are mainly would like to focus on privacy, security, governance. If you're having a kind of orientation towards regulations, yes, you can do that. And if you are a person who likes people management, project management, stakeholder management, yes, you do have a track for yourself. Okay, so when you come to studying, I would definitely go ahead with this recommendation that is given. Okay, it should be placement. First thing you need to understand is where you are placed. You're a beginner, you're intermediate, or you're an advanced. Pick your courses or pick your study line, okay, based on this. This is quite essential to make sure what you're picking and why you're picking and how you modulate the whole plan. That is really important. So this is a very quick checklist that I had got generated. Okay. Now it talks about how you need to set up a goal, what do you do, okay, and when you set yourself as a beginner, intermediate, or advanced, okay, what are the key follow-up points that you have? This is very really very nice, and based on all the previous alignment, it's given a very good goal. You can look into this. I will share these slides with you. Okay. It's nice. See, at the end of the day, this is not the golden rule. Okay, these are just certain alignments that we have. Okay, so let me quickly run into another very very interesting point. When I was just reviewing LinkedIn, I did come across this role. Okay, very interesting. It caught my attention. It is called as medical data annotator. Okay, very interesting. When I read through the job description, okay, and it is in line with the AI. So that is where it caught my attention. I said, "Wow, this is so aligned with AI right now." So that is when I said, "Okay, now this is going to give a very good perspective." Okay, all right, so that should be good for the poll, and let's get back to our slides. Okay, so we'll quickly go through what is this medical annotator role. Okay, so this is what I got from Googling and from AI. Okay, what is a medical data annotator? I will share this with you. Very interesting, and I'm going to make a detailed, what do you say, analysis on this particular role because it's caught my attention and it's very, very functionally applicable. Okay, it could be an adjunct to your informatics role. Okay, if you can take this extra feather in your cap, and I think this will give you an edge. So these kind of things is what, if you are oriented towards this, because this caught my attention for sure, because it's a part of the work that I do, and it's going to upskill my working, the way of working, and it's going to give me that extra leverage. I will definitely look into it. Okay, so this was something that I got it as an initial, what do you say, analysis. Okay, but I definitely will get more details on this. Okay, but for now, I will share this document with all of you. Okay, very interesting for me, and it is very, very realistic. Okay, saying that what is going to happen. how the longevity of this particular role is, everything is given in here. It's well informed document which is there. I'm sure this document will be upskilled. Okay, there are changes that are going to happen with this particular document. I'm pretty sure about that. Okay, so now what we can do is we can go through one of the points that I mentioned is we will share one of the job descriptions. Okay, so I'm going to go through one of the job descriptions that I did come across so that we will understand. Okay, this is a live job right now on LinkedIn. If you go, you will find it. Okay, it's about clinical informatics specialist. Okay, this is one of the roles in US. I just want to go through. Okay, this is not to any what do you say, as an example, you're just going through. Okay, it says, talks about duties and responsibilities. Now this is where we need to come to an understanding as to how we need to orient ourselves. Okay, is this job really relevant for me? Okay, are my skill sets in line? Okay, let's go through this. Okay, informatics roles and responsibilities, they say support implementation and optimization of a population health management tools and EHR platforms. They have also given the platforms and says and other integrated systems. Do you now see how broad this statement is? Okay. Okay. The second part they're asking is serve as a clinical matter expert. Okay. During implementation, upgrades, and transitions. Partner with clinical operations and administrative leaders to configure workflows, registry, care gaps, risk satisfaction, and reporting aligned to value based programs. So now you need to take these keywords, okay, and make sure these keywords are reflecting in your skill sets. Now, they have given elaboration, okay, on workflow, use case, and template development, what they are actually looking at, what is value-based care enablement. This is a very detailed job description. I really love this job description. That's the reason I wanted to bring this across. Okay, some job descriptions are so clear. Okay, it helps you streamline your presentation, okay, of your resume. And you need to understand what, whether you are the right person before you click on this apply button, whether your skill sets are aligned with this particular role. Okay, whether you, when you present yourself in the interview, will you be able to talk about these key features which they are looking at. So that is the reason the job description does have all these points, and that is where you will get evaluated. Required qualifications, there's always many of the job descriptions I've seen or postings I've seen is they say mandatory qualifications and additional qualifications, but here they have just given as required qualifications and preferred qualifications. Now that means I would strongly emphasize on preferred. Now when these qualifications come, okay, they are not the only qualifications, are not the only things which will drive your shortlisting or your probability for the job. Okay, along with that, you need to orient yourself with the key competencies too. Okay, now this is where your certifications come into play. Now certifications, okay, is going to talk about these. Okay, your qualifications, your competency, that is your skill sets, and how well are you with your job, that is your experience. Okay, so this is a quick showdown that I wanted to have, okay, to let you know that how a job resume looks like, okay, and how you need to henceforth start looking into the job postings, okay, and you need to help yourself. Okay, so this is more about how we help ourselves and help each other. And as I told you, it's an open forum. We will be having a lot of these live open sessions, okay, and I would like to hear more about what you people think. Okay, so there is another poll I posted for the next 10 seconds. Let me see if we could get some responses. Okay, now if you have any questions, do let me know. You can post your questions, and I would be happy to take your further questions. In case you do have questions later, please do share your questions on my LinkedIn profile, and I would be happy to take your questions because it's a learning for each one of us, and it's more of a collaboration that I always look forward. Okay, sharing thoughts. Okay, no prejudice, no biases. Okay, there's no hierarchical establishment, that I would definitely say. Okay, so but we need to hold each other's hand, and that's where we would help each other. And I would give a couple of seconds to see if we have any further questions to carry forward this particular discussion. And if there are no further questions, I would really say thank you to all of you. And if you have missed this particular session, there is a recorded version of this always present. And whenever you have the time, you can go through the recorded presentation, and you could let us know if you have any further questions. And I would be more than happy to answer your questions.